Hotep family, Hotep Amgaka Tachonglala. This is your brother Bangolu coming to you from the motherland. Your brother Bangolu from Cameroon. My name is, as I said, Bangolu, and it means in Gomala, which is my mother tongue, it means it's gonna rain. And I come to you through an organization that we created recently with some brothers and sisters called Pingla Sansang, which is what you can see here. It's an organization that has a purpose of a mission, actually, a mission of making African traditions mainstream, making African traditions easily understandable for the younger generation, and for everyone who's interested into harnessing back the knowledge of our ancestors to make our lives today better, to be in tune with ourselves, to embody the values of our ancestors, all those good stuff, actually. So this is what we are working on, and today we are going to be talking about the movie the Lion King. But before we do that, I would like to take some minutes to thank the Most High, to thank Mama Wandombi, our mother, the mother of the universe, to thank all the ancestors, those who came before us, who paved the way for us to be here, and all the guides that are guiding us through this great awakening that is happening in our community. We are very much grateful for all their assistance and all their energy. That said, as I said, the topic of today is gonna be around a little bit around the movie The Lion King, but obviously I'm not talking about the movie. The purpose is not to talk about the movie for the purpose of talking about the movie. The purpose is to shed a light on what the movie is about, and remember, show how powerful African traditions are and how they have been used all over history by so many people without citing their sources, obviously, because as far as I know, Walt Disney never paid dues to the people that created all this, knowledge system, and nothing was given, no due was given to the genius of all our ancestors who actually came up with all these concepts by observing nature. And this is what we are. The topic of today is meant to give due to those who work for this, to actually bring back African traditions at the center of what has been done here. And since they did the movie, there was a remake of the movie. It gave us the good opportunity to teach people, as there's still a little bit of hype about it. It gave us the opportunity to teach our brothers and sisters what is actually in the movie, what the movie is about. So, but as I said, this is not about the movie. This is just, the movie is a pretext to teach something deeper than what the movie, to teach something deeper, to actually take out what was hidden behind all those scenes, and bring it to light. So, without further ado, let's actually get into it. So, this is not some kind of vacational YouTube where you don't know what to do when you come to the channel. No, this channel is an educational channel, and it's gonna be so. I don't want it to be formal, so this is why I decided to make this video in terms of kind of live videos, because I'm trying to learn how to teach. So they chose me as the spokesperson because I'm the least. I never uh, um, how can I say it? I'm the one that is not really used to the camera, so they chose me so that I can get used to it, because if I'm gonna be speaking for for the family, I'd rather be prepared. So bear with me if I'm not if it's not the usual kind of life that you assist to, or that you catch up to. In any case, the purpose here is an educational purpose. We are within ourselves, with the family. I'm not doing it for anyone that doesn't consider himself part of our family. It's okay. I'm doing this for the family. It's not about polemics or whatever. I'm not interested into all that. This is meant for the family, for people who are in tune with this kind of information, who are listening to the calling that is happening all around, and are looking for some information to ground themselves within their traditions. So this is for those kind of people. The rest that are interested into polemics, we are not into that. So uh, feel free to do whatever, govern yourself accordingly. Uh, So here, as I said, this is scholarly work. At least it has the intention of going towards that. So the research that has been done here is quite extensive, and it's quite long to understand, but it's normal. It took thousands of years to codify this knowledge. So we don't even pretend to try to explain it in few hours. It's not possible. So we only explain what we can explain, actually. So bear with us, really bear with us. So here I titled this slide, the circle of life moves us all. um Here you have this is actually the movie starts. The song that I was singing earlier is the circle of life in sung in Zulu. And here you have the actual cycle of life as our ancestors understood it. You have two representations of the same thing. Here is the ancient Kemet, the ancient Egyptian one, and here is the one from the Congo tradition. And this work, I took it from a paper written by a brother called Obadele Kambon. You can check his work. He's brilliant. He's a genius. You can check his work out. It's really impressive. So I took this paper out of these images out of his paper, and these images are meant to represent the actual circle of life. This is the circle of life. The circle of life starts in Osar, which is what is the ancient Kemet deity representing the underworld, the immaterial forms of things, when things don't have forms yet, when they are still in the when they are still thoughts, not even thoughts, before the thought even arise. So this is the stage of Osar, is that stage. Then we move to the stage of as you see here, we move to the stage of Atum. I'm using these words because those are conventional words. African languages, all African languages have their words to explain, their names to explain this concept. So sometimes I will use some of those just as a reference point for people who are interested into going deeper in the subject. They can check this out. Then you move to Ra. This is the stage here, Ra. And then you move to Keper, and Keper is Ra is the zenith, is the stage in which energy has reached the zenith, the peak of its manifestation. Then after that it starts declining, and we reach Keper, which is the transformation back into the immaterial form. This cycle of life is the same that can is the cycle of life. Someday we are taught, we are conceptualized, another day we are born, we are manifested into this existence. We grow up, we become adults, and then we grow old and we die, and we go back to the material form. So this is the circle of life. This is what moves us all. And here, this is the circle of life in the Congo. As I said, it's called the Dikenga cosmogram. So you move from Muzoni to Kala, from Kala to Tukala, from Tukala to Luvemba, and from Luvemba back to Muzoni. And if you are interested, if you are careful here, you can already you will see some things that will ring a bell here as we are talking about the movie The Lion King. But this circle of life, what is actually representing in terms of physics, because here we are talking about energy moving around. This is what is the cycle of energy. Energy moves from chaos, chaos here, it moves from chaos to organization, from organization to order, from order to entropy. Entropy then takes over, and entropy starts dismantling everything, and you go back to chaos. This is the cycle. This is the cycle of energy. This is the cycle of life. This is the part that every single entity, every single being, every single thing on the planet moves on. Okay, that said, we can move on. Here is a representation. Here on the left is a representation of Horus, Heru, Kore, because the name of Kore is one of the names of Heru in on the continent, in the Bantu land, for instance. So this Kore is what will become Simba in the movie. This is why they use the lion is one of the figures that they use to represent Horus. You can use Heru, you can use the lion, or you can use the ancestors use the lion to represent Heru, or they also use the falcon to represent Heru. So, and they did that because of the names of the lion and because of the names of the falcon in African languages. So this is why they took Simba to represent that. And as a matter of fact, in the name Mufasa, because I have to say this before, Simba and Mufasa in the movie are one and the same. Simba and Mufasa in the movie are one and the same. We are talking about the sun. And if you the image in the beginning of the movie shows it clearly, and throughout the movie you see clearly that what we are talking about here is the cycle of the sun, essentially. And the sun here being shown here as a form of the sun here being used here to represent energy in its essence. So the cycle of energy, as I was talking about earlier. So in Bemba, for instance, you say Umupashi to say the life cycle of a person. This is what brings up that Mufasa. So we are here right already right into the concepts here. Next. So as I said, we use the lion to say to represent this concept because the lion and the sun are usually the words for the lion and the words for the sun are usually the same in the language. And this is why this slide is meant to show it. In to say king and to say lion and to say sun, usually you have the same structures. In Debele, to say king, you say inkosi. The in front is a prefix. In Sosa, you say inkosi. And this technique that I'm using here, because I have to pay dues to those who actually deserve it. This technique that I'm using here, using African languages to draw out the meaning, a coherent meaning of what the ancestors were trying to say, is a technique that has been developed by a brother called Dibombari Mbock. In the description of the video, I will try to add some of the links of one of his books, the only one that is that can be found in English. and some of his videos that are in French. Unfortunately, for those of you who don't speak French, if you speak French, please check it out. It's very impressive. The work he did is tremendous. Is groundbreaking, and we are trying to use the same energy, that same those same kind of techniques to bring light to some of the concepts as we are doing here. And it's one of the central themes of what we have been doing in our work throughout this time. It's actually meant to bring African languages mainstream, because most of us think that we can be talking about revolution every day. Oh no, we are for the revolution, but we think that we are going to be doing this revolution in English. Unfortunately, it's what we think, and it's a shame, because we have our languages and they are beautiful. They are carriers of a lot of concepts, and a lot of they are carriers of our traditions. So if we are moving towards that owning self, we need to be owning self starting from the language, because it's not random. We see things are not random. The languages are meant to express a worldview, a world point. They are meant to express a certain philosophy, a way of thinking, and out of the languages, if you cut yourself short from those languages, you cut yourself short from all the concepts that are embedded in the language. No matter what you think that you'll be doing, you will still be orphan of those concepts. And it's just recently that I personally understood that. I personally understood that, and I started making paving the way back to owning our languages and to speaking them to fluently, to the beautiful expression that they can convey. Because this is what we are talking about here. To go back to our topic, to say king, we say in Debele you say Inkosi, in Xhosa you say Inkosi, in Damba you say Mutua, and here again I have to pay dues to our ancestors Credo Mutua, who did a lot of work to try to bring African traditions out of the dark in which they were put, labeling them witchcraft and all kind of nonsense names. And we have to pay homage to the ancestor Mutua for that work. So Mutua here, his name Mutua actually meant king. So you understand how powerful that would be to name a child like that. So hence the presentation that we are making here. In Kinkulu you say Kulu to say king. In Nkoma you say Temi. This Temi is what you see when you see Atum. So when you are here in this phase here, they say item here on the glyph. That is Atum. That is the Temi that will become Atum. And as we proceed, we'll see why this structure. In Kewere, you say Kama, and this Kama is the Kama that people say when we say Kemet. The structure in the African languages is Kama, Kemi is what you see in Kem, Kam is usually what you find in the or even in Jam, even Jam. When you say Jambo, this is the Jam that you see there is the structure of that meaning peace. So it also means king. In my language, for instance, in my mother tongue in Gomala, Nkam means noble, a noble person, the person that is in the within the nine pillars of the society, the king and his 8 ministers. Let's use the word minister in English. His 8 ministers. Those ministers, the noble, are called Nkam, and any other noble in the society is also called Nkam. So when we call ourselves kings and queens, it's not only metaphoric, it's actually because of these concepts. So we know that we come from royalty. We always been. The name of the ancient African kingdoms were usually centered around that concept of nobility, of kingship, because of the higher values and higher intellect and moral principles that we decided will be embodying. So time has come to embody those principles back again, and we cannot do it short of our languages. So here to say lion, you say Kosi in Kimbembe. It's the same of the Inkosi that you found here. In Proto-Bantu, you say Simba. This is the name that you will find for the character in the movie. In Ma, you say Simba to say lion. In Bangeri, you say Yara to say lion. In Dobuldom, you say Yara is to say lion. In Mandinka, you say Jata to say lion. And this Jata is the name of Sunjata Keita. And there's a great link between Sunjata Keita. It has already been done. The link has already been shown in by some other researchers between Sunjata Keita and the movie The Lion King. So we are actually extending that link to the ancient Kemet and Sunjata here being Heru, because the people that codify those the mythology, because the story of Sunjata Keita is both real and myth, because Africans do that. They take a character that existed and they build a mythology around the character, because the mythology is what drives the life of the character. It's something that is done within the traditions. Usually when a child is born, the elders will create a myth that will be the defining mythology that will guide the life of the. It's like paving the way before you go. It's like creating your life before your life is what those mythologies are meant to do. So when you have Njata here meaning lion is playing in that scheme. In Douala you have Ngila, and this Ngila, I have to say this Ngila and the Nkulu that you see here for king are one and the same word. Um, for first, I have to say in the way languages evolve, they don't take the vowels don't really matter. They can change they change or they change. What is interesting in the construction of the words are usually the consonant structure. So the N that you find here in front of Ngila is meant for vocalization. The 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 G and the K in African languages are interchangeable. Uh, so so Ngila and Kulu are the same word. They have the same structure. So in Gomala you say Nomtema to say lion, and you have both this Nom in front and Tema, which is Nom here meaning sun. You see here when you say Nam in Yong to say sun, this is the same structure. And when you say Tema is the same structure as Temi here meaning king. So the Gomala actually does, and all languages of the grassfield Cameroon, they do the same thing. They associate the two concepts. So the concept of king and the concept of son are associated together to give the name of the lion. So you see it here clearly. And it's not only valid for Ngomala, it's valid for all the languages of the grassfield Cameroon. In Lingala, you say Kosi to say lion, and you say Simba to say lion. And for those who are actually interested, really interested into Kemetic spirituality, this Nkosi and this Yara here in the Mande in West Africa, in countries like Mali, for the Bamanan people of Mali and stuff like this. This name Yara is how they call the goddess Sekhmet, let's say goddess to use those terms. It's what they call the goddess Sekhmet. They call her Yara, Ma Yara. Yara here meaning lion, because she's usually is why she's represented as a lioness. And in the Congo they will call her Mamankosi. So these are not just words. These are words that are meant to express concepts that are very deep. And this is what I'm trying to show here. So when you are speaking the language and you are using those terms, you can imagine what they're activating in the all around. These these are very powerful languages. It's why I'm doing this, so that we understand that we cannot fall short of learning these languages. If not, we cannot even understand what our ancestors wrote in the hieroglyphics. The understanding that we have, it will be just very, very much partial. So we have to do this effort of going and looking for what our ancestors meant in this expressing all these concepts. So to say sun in Nera, you have Kos. This Kos is the same as Kosi here to mainland. To say in Kwanza you have Kosa. In Fefe you have Nam, as I showed here earlier in the Nomtema. In Futunu you have Nam. In Nyong you have Nyama. And these words are usually Nyama here is a word that you can see meaning God in other African languages. Nyama. So in Nini in Jamse you have Nini meaning sun. In Goro, you have Nini, meaning son, and this Nini is the word that is usually used for mother. In again, in other African languages, you in Wolof, for instance, you say Nene to say mother. So this is the same structure. The words can change, but they are not important, as I said. In Dumbo, you say Dio to say God, to say son, but in Italian, you say Dio to say God. So here we are still having. So when some people say that the black woman is God, it's not. It's again this form of expressions. People don't even realize that it doesn't. It comes from this kind of concept. When you say nene to mean mother, and then you see that the same words for the mother are usually the words for the son, and the words for the son are the words for the God. For God, this is where these concepts are coming from. It's not just that someone woke up a day and say, "Ah, no, you know what? I know you are gonna be saying that." These are very powerful concepts that are hidden in the language, but you have to do the effort of going around and looking for them. In Kanyok, you say deep to say water. This deep to say water is this to say sun is the same as diba to say water. For instance, in Douala language, you say madiba to say language, and this diba is the same that you see in the word madiba to say the name that was given to Nelson Mandela, meaning chief. So you have the words of the sun, and sometimes it becomes the words of the water, and we'll see why later. And it are the words for the king, and they always go around, and are the words for God as well. This is why, for instance, in this concept, when you see the sun, they represent the sun, and they put one this symbol meaning one, meaning that the sun is unique. And in the way our ancestors understood the concept of sun is that the sun is the purest element that you see, that is around us, that we can see. It's the purest element because no human being ever touched the sun. So the sun is pure, and it's this concept of purity that made our ancestors think that okay, the sun is pure, and the sun is the element, the provider of life on this planet. Without the sun, there's no life on the planet. Everything that is on this planet is running out of solar energy. Everything. So the sun is not intended here to be. They are not. They never worship the sun in terms of the sun being God, but they understood that the sun is the ambassador of God and I use the word God because it's a conventional word that we all use. So the sun is the ambassador of God in this planet. Hence the fact that they use the and when I use the word ambassador, I use it on purpose because in Ikoma here, when you have Temi to mean king, and you have in Tuzu you have Temi to mean king. This Temi here is the same as when you say Tem in my language, in Gomala, for instance, to mean ambassador. When you say Tem in my language in Gomala, it means ambassador. So the sun here is the ambassador of God, the representative of God in our system. So and if you see here the sun in Manta, you say Tam to say sun, and it's the same word. It's the same as Tem. The vowel don't count, as I said. In Afar, you say arrow to say sun, and in Bako you say Iru to say sun. This arrow and Iru is the concept of sun obviously linked to the concept of energy, of light. In Kinyarwanda you say Irere to mean light, and this Irere is the same as this arrow here, meaning sun. In Zambo you say Kera. This Kera is the same as Nkulu here because the L and the R in African languages are interchangeable, as I said. In Bale you say Koro. In Bakaka you say Se. And in Koyu you say Ese. This Ese is and Se are the words for Osa. When you say Osa, this Se. In my language, in Gomala, you say Si to say God. So we are talking about Osa here. So we are here in the Dikenga cosmogram. We are in this phase. Here it doesn't matter the name that you use. When you say Ira or Iru to mean to say sun there, we are talking about the sun in the here. We are talking about the sun in the Ra phase here. So we use the term Ra as a convention. You see in African languages you can see some variables, some varieties of expressions of that concept. So we're here, and I'm trying to show you these words so that you understand that these are words that have been used to codify some concepts. We are all talking about the same thing. But African languages chose a very specific aspect of the same thing. So they chose one or the other. They chose one. The name in this, the name of the sun is still a sun, but it has different phases. So in those different phases it carries different names, and African languages as they evolved chose one name over another, but they all chose these names according to that same concept. They are all grouped within this within the Dikenga cosmogram. They are grouped within the circle of life. So we are always talking about energy here. In Banda you say low to say sun, and in Gubu you say low to say sun. This low, the structure is L, and this L is what you see in the Semitic languages when you say L, or you say Al, or Allah in in Muslim traditions. So as I said, all these names that you find for God, even in other languages around the world, are usually come from an African understanding, and usually the name of the sun is not because of sun worshipping. So we are not here saying that no, that's not what we are talking about here. We are talking about a concept, an understanding that the concept of God was a conquest, a scientific conquest. It's not that someone woke up a day and God talked to someone. No, it's not what we are talking about here. It was an understanding that took years, that took millennia to be codified. And our ancestors actually investigated the universe scientifically to come up with this concept. It's not just like you woke up someday and you say, okay, no, guys, no, it's not like that. It's not like that. And I'm going to be showing that towards this, towards this. So throughout all this, so that you understand what we are talking about here. This comes from deep observation of nature to codify this. So that was for the first character, Simba. But we're not going to be talking about all characters, obviously, in the movie. We are going to be talking about the main characters and the main players in the mythology. Not that the other ones are not important. I'm going to be skipping most of the female characters, not because I want to, not because of I want to skip the female energies, just because that deserve another full presentation just to talk about those characters, because they carry a lot, and when I mean a lot, is far more than what I can be doing here today. So as a form of introduction, I'm going to be talking about these characters, and then there will be a second, a third, and a fourth part explaining all these concepts. So I'm just using the movie, as I said, as a pretext to explain all these things. So thought is represented usually in the ancient Kemet as a baboon. In ancient Egypt, as a baboon carrying the sun, the moon on his head, carrying the moon on his head. And in the movie, they call the character Rafiki. They call the character Rafiki, and they say that Rafiki means friend. But before we get into that, thought has usually two forms of representations, at least the usual ones. There are others. They are not only two. They are the main two, or actually three. Let's say three is what we are going to be talking about here in the movie. The main three are the baboon, uh, the ibis or hornbill, and the stork. These are the three forms that these are the three forms that you usually find to represent the deity thought. And it's not random, it's chosen according to African languages once more. To say monkey, in Douala you say Kema, in Chiluba you say Kima, in Zebi you say Kema, in Kikongo you say Kima, in Pongo you say Kema, in Swahili you say Kima, in Boshi you say Kema, in Kikuyu you say Ngima. So you see this Kima, this structure that is repeating itself here is the same that you will find here for the hornbill. In Pende you say Kumbi, you say Ibis. In Chokwe or Ibis or hornbill. In Chokwe you say Kumbi. Black and white stork. I said stork earlier. This is why you see here. In Lunda you say Kum, stork. In Banganan you say Kuma, Bambara, which is the language, the principal language in West Africa. Or you say Kumare, you say crown crane. In Dogon you say Kuma, crown crane. In Pula you say Kumare, crown crane. These are all words that are associated to this kind of animals, and the reason why ancestors choose them is because of their long beak, and the beak here meaning to symbolizing the nose. And just to give an example of why they chose that, the name, one of the names of that can be attributed to this deity in to the deity thought in my language is Tse. We can call him Tse. Why? Because the name of the deity thought is the name of the name. The word for the deity thought is the word for the name. When you say the name of someone, my name is, that name is his name, because he's the one that is naming, that names everything. He's the responsible for vibration, for expressing you, for wisdom, for the wisdom behind all these words that we are pronouncing every day. And this doesn't exclude any form of language, being English or whatever. And in order, as we move along, those who are going to be following this channel are going to be understanding what we are talking about. All languages are constructed around certain forms of energy, and words that are usually conveying the same concept usually have this a similar kind of, it doesn't matter which language you are talking about, it follows a certain logic regardless of what people think. Even when they make up some words, they think that they made them up, they actually only discover them because they are usually always attached to some higher concepts that the people that are even using the words usually don't understand. And uh, only few masters we actually understand. There's a fly here that is trying to invite itself to the show. Have fun. Here I started this, like, where do baby comes from? uh because you see, there is a myth about the stork bringing babies to mommies, and this is a story that mothers will be telling their kids. And but when people talk about this story, they talk about this story as coming from a Western perspective. No, here is where the story actually comes from. It comes from ancient Kemet. Because of this function of the deity thought, one of his function was to go and gather the soul and guide the soul of the baby back, the ancestor that is coming back to life. And this is what is represented here on the right, to as the ancestors showed it. Right here is what you see here, this talk on the boat, or this crown crane on the boat, showing the way, leading the way back to life, to this ancestor that is coming back. It's exactly what you see here. So I just I just decided to put this here just for fun, because the these kind of myths are all around the world, but usually they don't, as I said, they don't give credit, or they make it difficult for people to understand what we are talking about here. This is exactly what our ancestors were talking about here. So I made this fun picture here with the stork bringing babies back to life. So uh, here we're here. So as I was saying earlier, the word Rafiki means friend. Uh, Rafiki means friend, and this choice of name was informed by the name of the deity himself. So when you say he's linked to the concept of friendship, to the concept of twin, and we'll see that here. You see it here for those who can see. In Swahili, the name of the deity thought can be written like in this form, with the reed and the symbol of the ancestor, or people usually say of a divinity. No, it's a symbol of a divinity. It's also a symbol of the ancestor. So and it's understandable, because in Africa we consider, for us, we consider God as our oldest ancestor. So it's just normal that we explain this concept being intertwined. So when you see this first glyph here, this glyph is a reed, and in Swahili, to say reed you say tete. In Lingala, you say matiti to say grass. In Kikongo, you say matiti to say grass, vegetables. In Ewondo, you say metet to say bitter reed. This was tet, thought. This is This is the words that are carrying, as I said, the vowels don't really count. These are the words that are carrying the structure thought. And this thought is actually an indigenous name in the way it was conceptualized, and it was just carried out by the Greeks. Uh, but it's not the only name that you give to this deity. When you say Dio in the Mande, in Bamanan, for instance, is you are calling that deity. You can call him Dio, and it's the Dio that meant God in, in Italian and Latin. When you say Deo, but this Dio is the same structure as when you say Due. Due in Italian, for instance, it means two, and those structures that we find in Latin, those are meant to represent this concept, is what we are talking about here, because of the duality aspect of what people call God. It's always dual, good and bad, female and male. So you have this yin and yang of the because people like that. You have those yin and yang of the Asiatic traditions. So that duality is what we are trying to bring here, and the deity that brings forth the duality aspect of God is the deity thought. His principle, his principle, working principle is duality, and this is why he's responsible for wisdom, because wisdom can only arise when you have from experience of confronting reality, of having the duality of expression. For someone to be wise in, let's say, for someone to give you a wise advice in let's say anything, that person has to have done that thing and failed at least once. It's only when you fail in that thing and then you succeed in that same thing, you have the dual aspect, both the failure and the success. And it's that duality that allows you to take out the wisdom to impart on other people. You would be telling them, okay, look, I did that because you did both. You went both ways, and now you can know what stands in the middle, and you can tell people, okay, if you want to have this workout, you can do this, and this is what will be helping you move on. That said, the concept of friend is because of that relationship that we have with a friend. Your friend is usually the mirror that allows you to express your duality, where you can progress if you use each other as a reference point. This is what a couple is actually meant for. Is to bind back the duality and progressing by experiencing that duality, where we can all be reflection of each other and grow according to what we are living together. So this is the principle of wisdom, is the principle of the deity thought, and the deity thought is linked to the deity Ma'at. Is her active, his counterpart, the matching part. So she's the one that is embodying that concept of friendship, because in Okanisi you say Mati to say friend, in Douala you say Dikom. This Com is the one that you saw earlier when we say Kuma to say crown crane, or Ibis. In English you say, even in English there's the word, the structure still is still intact. You say mate to say friend. In Jamse you say miten. In Sa you say Madi. The T and the D are interchangeable in African languages. And even the Dutch kept that structure, and it's even more complete when they say Ma'at. This is the Ma'at that we usually say when we are talking about. It's meaning friend, mate. But this same structure can be found for twins. In Kiembu you say Matata. And it rings a bell here. When you say Matata, you mean twin. In Gikuyu you say Maata. In Taraka you say Mata. This has been taken from in the work of the brother Dibombari Mbock I was talking about, in a video that he made called the hieroglyph, explaining the principle of the god of the deity thought. So here is Zazu, and as I said, Zazu. So when we are talking about this, you see, the deity thought is meant to represent that concept of duality, and because even the people who did the movie knew about this concept, that embodies the concept of duality, they put it in the movie. He has two parts. Both his parts are within the movie. with the character Zazu in the form of the hornbill, and with the character Rafiki in the form of the monkey, of the baboon. So here's the deity thought represented. Here's the deity thought represented as a hornbill, and you see he carries his name with him. The reed, Tet, Thought. He carries that his name with him. This is how our ancestors codified these things. So his name is the name of the bird that you find here. His name is the name of the expression that they are looking for with the long nail nose, because this is what is extending out. And his name is also the name of the. So everything that is used to represent in this image, even the stand on which he stands here, is still his name. So what the ancestors usually did when they were representing this kind of stuff is that they will group together all elements that are carrying the same principle that are the deity is representing. This is how they will codify the name of the deity. Thought, as I said, is bringing wisdom, is the one that brings babies, and is also responsible for baptism, obviously, because a birth in our African traditions is considered as baptism. So being baptized and being born is one and the same thing. This is why you see in most of the Christian traditions they will say born again. Because you come out of the water. That coming out of the womb, coming out of the water of the womb is what our ancestors codified as baptism. And when you come out of there, you come out pure. So if they want to reproduce that pureness, they baptize you with water. So it's why you have those concepts coming around. It's not something new. It's something that has been done all over the place in Africa. Africans have always been doing that. And you see here, this is the baptism of the king Ramses II. Ramses II here is being baptized by both Thoth and Tehuti, as other people like to call him, by Tehuti and Heru here, or Ra, because as I said, this is energy in interchangeable. They don't really. It's just a matter of which when do you look at him? When do you look at the deity? Carries different expression when and for what. So in the movie you see this in the beginning, the opening scene, the ritual that Rafiki is doing is the baptism of the child that is coming out. So it's his kind of form of initiation. And he will be throwing a little bit of ashes on his face. These are all things that you see in the these are all things that has been used in Christian religion. These are all rituals that are used in Christian religion, but they obviously will not tell you the source of it. The source of it is Africa, and there are extensive research that has been done to explain this. So we are not here to be in terms of kind of polemics or whatever. If people come across this and if they are interested, they can go and make this research for themselves. So we are just going to be saying it and leave it out there like that. So if people are interested, they can do a deeper research into that, obviously. So being baptized is being purified back, and usually is what will happen in Africa in terms of initiation. And after this initiation, there will be the exposition of the initiates. So they usually put the initiates out, and they do the same thing for the baby. But for the baby, the first initiation of the baby takes place usually on the 8th day. And in most African, this day number of days will change. Obviously, it's not the same in all African tribes. But I use these 8 days because the most is what I came across. Some other tribes have 42 days. Some other tribes have other numbers of days for many reasons that are linked to some of the traditions that we are explaining here. But the exposition of the initiate or the child, when it takes place, is the name. It's also the naming ceremony. It's the day they also give the name to the. Sorry, I have to take this. Okay. Sorry, family. I had to see someone was calling me. I tried to pick up the call, but stopped. Uh, as I said, we are not here in a formal setting, so I'm just gonna be free to I'm just gonna be free to do whatever. um, okay, here we are. As I was saying, you have the exposition of the initiate of the child. Uh, the child is exposed, and they will be giving him a name. They will be giving him a name on that ceremony. And anyone that has gone through any initiation, they know that they know that. And you see here the sun is sending his rays or energy or light to the kid, because this is what the kid is supposed to be embodying. The kid is supposed to be embodying the light. He's supposed to be a light to the world, and a light of wisdom and knowledge and activity and everything. He's supposed to be dynamic. This is what they're trying to be to be it's a wish for the kid to embody that, all those principles and all that energy. So I think it would be wise to stop this first part here and record it, and then we can move on to the we'll be doing a second part a little bit later. uh, we'll be doing a second part a little bit later. So if you just came across this channel and you are interested in what we are talking about, please feel free to come back. We will be registering the second part of this live a little bit later in the day, but has already been prepared. I don't want it to be too long because people can lose interest. So this was kind of an introduction. We'll be doing it in three parts. So there are 40 slides, and we'll be doing it in three parts, as I said. Mm, thank you for watching. Check out the second part if you are interested, and if the information is interesting to you. Like the video, share it, and thank you.